All right, so yesterday I was working on making a strawberry pot, and I got to the point where I needed to heat some plastic and I didn't have anything. I tried a hair dryer, but that was no luck at all. So I bought a heat gun. So let's do a quick product review before we get back to work on that strawberry pot. This is the El Cheapo. This was 29 bucks. I looked at buying one for my DeWalt's, but it was 149 for a battery operated heat gun, and I just couldn't see forking over that much money. It's once in a blue moon I need a heat gun. It'd be nice to have one, but I don't know if I want to spend 150 bucks for one. One of the features it had is it'll hold itself up. So I guess you could maybe heat wire or do shrink wrap or something like that above it. It's got a really cool plug, which looks like it is designed to help hold it up. It's supposed to go between 750 degrees and 1,200 degrees. Well, once that's in there, it's in there, isn't it? I don't think I'll take that on and off very often. Well, I don't know if there's anything else to say about this other than to see if it works. So shall we try to do what I was trying to do yesterday on the strawberry container? I wonder if I am going to blow a fuse.
Yes, I'm the oddball that actually reads the directions before use.
It's got a little chart that's supposed to tell you what temperature setting it's on, which would be, you got low and high. Wall repair, low, high. Dry paint, low, high. Stripping paint, high. Shrink plastic firm on wrapper or weatherproofing, low, high. Loosen rusted nuts. Loosen rusted nuts and loosen rusted nuts, fittings, and bolts. I never would have thought of using a heat gun on a rusted nut. A blowtorch, but not a heat gun.
Well, at any rate, the directions have a list of what heat setting to use depending on what job you want to get done.
Cookie decorating. You're going to use a heat gun for cookie decorating? Restore bumpers, apply or remove window tint. PlayStation and Xbox repair, low. What are you using a heat gun on a Sony PlayStation for? 2 is the hanging hook. Oh, that makes sense. That's the reason why it's so hard to get this out. It's because it's got a hook. I guess you can hang it in the air and use it too. So you could put it on a surface and use it, or you could hang it and use it. Alrighty. Comes in a couple different languages, of course. There's accessories you could buy, which would go on the end, which are basically just a little thing that curves around, like for shrink wrap. Well, let's see how our $29 heat gun does. I probably need a heat gun maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and that is it. Yep, that's hot.
So I had the heat gun on the inside of this plastic cup for a few minutes, and then I went to the outside, and you can see that the color of the plastic changes pretty quick when it gets hot. And then I'm going to try to shove this bottle through, which does not go well. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yeah, it gets it hot, all right. I thought that was pretty funny, if nothing else. And on hindsight, watching this, maybe I should have been wearing gloves. So I'm going to do this one in real time. Now, I have never used a heat gun before, believe it or not, so I'm used to using a hair dryer. And this thing is tenfold better than a hair dryer, getting stuff hot. And since I've never used a heat gun before, and since I've never melted plastic to make a strawberry pot, there was a little bit of learning involved. And I would have to say by my last hole, it was much better than my first hole. Okay, so let's see if we can get through this hole, and then I'll dig into that product review that this is supposed to be for. Already I'm getting better because I'm not burning my fingers trying to get this bottle through. And my holes are starting to look better too. So let's get down to this review for a heat gun. Probably the biggest determining factor on how to weigh my opinion is the fact that I've never used a heat gun before. So all I can imagine is that all heat guns are probably awesome compared to a hair dryer or a stove. I've used blowtorches before to heat things up, and an open flame is a lot trickier than heat that comes out of this heat gun. I was never worried that I was going to ignite something on fire. The plastic may have gotten hot and melted, but at no point did I feel like I was about to be engulfed in some kind of flame. The second thing is, I can see where just owning a heat gun would be conducive to using it a lot more often. So I can picture many uses for this, like stripping paint, or shrink wrap, or melting PVC pipe to do a bend or a project. And although I joked about its uses at the beginning, like a Sony PlayStation or making cookies, I really can see where this would be handy. So another thought I have on this review is it really depends on what you're looking for. Now, I saw heat guns that you could dial in a certain temperature. So maybe you needed something to be 250 degrees, but no hotter. Well, you could set it for 250 degrees, and that's as high as the heat would go. So you wouldn't have to worry about whatever you were heating getting too hot. So heat guns can have a very wide range of heat settings. The Wagner Furno 300 has two settings, 750 degrees Fahrenheit and 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. So depending on what you're after, you may want one that's a little bit more expensive and has more features. But for me, as a beginning user and somebody that's not going to use a heat gun very often, I like this one. I've got nothing bad to say about it. So only time will tell how it'll hold up. I imagine heat guns are like everything else. They probably have a life cycle, and after so many hours of use, they probably just go bad. Well, I think that's probably about all the useful comments I can add while I'm editing this video. Let's see what I said after I got done using it that day.
So I don't have enough experience with heat guns to say this is the best there is. It's my first time ever using a heat gun. And I saw some other videos on YouTube where they had done something similar to this, but they were using plastic 55-gallon drums and PVC pipe. They were using something that was a lot heavier. I think the fact that this is so thin that it may not have done as well as those other ones. But if I had to say anything, I'm glad I bought this for 29 bucks. I probably will end up using it more often because it could come in handy for a lot of stuff. So, like, subscribe, check out the playlist, and I'll keep my reviews coming.